Hey, Quad Bros, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Glad you guys are here. We're going to be going over BR1 Japan today. We'll do the Soviets next for BR1, and then we'll start getting into the higher BRs as we go. If you guys have an opinion on which higher BR we should do, or if I should just do them in order going into BR2, just like I've done with BR1, let me know in the comments, and while you're there, like and subscribe for more of these guides, gameplay, news, so on and so forth for Enlisted. But without any more shilling or anything like that, let's jump into the video. So we've got our setup here for BR1. Again, we're going as if we are free-to-play players, and we're using only things that are available to us in BR1. So, you know, if you have a radio operator squad, you can go ahead and bring that, you know, once you've unlocked that later on. But I'm assuming that, like, whoever's watching this is only interested in using stuff from BR1. But of course, like, bringing a radio operator squad is going to be like a good choice potentially. Bringing like a machine gun squad could be good to build HMG nests and things like that, just as long as you don't equip any machine guns. But again, we're just using BR1 stuff here. So our first squad is, of course, as always, going to be our medic squad. Now medics, again, just like the other factions, are going to be our firepower squad. They come with some machine guns. Their big downside here, guys, is that they only have 5-man squads. And they don't get any other soldiers in them, so you can't bring like an engineer or something like that, which is a pretty big downside and is the reason why we're going to replace them with the assaulters later on. But for now, we're going with this, and we are going to be bringing the S100. Now, between the S100 and the Type 100, it really is a complete toss-up. Like, it genuinely comes down to personal preference. If we look at the stats between these two guns, we can see that really the most major difference is that the S100 or S1100 has 5.9 hit power versus 6.0 hit power in the Type 100, and I believe the S1100 has 2 more rounds in the magazine. So otherwise, guys, they have the same rate of fire. They have nearly identical recoil. I personally prefer the S100 for the simple fact that it has open sights as opposed to closed sights. I myself really prefer open sights on submachine guns. I don't like the kind of peep sights that the Type 100 has. I don't know if that's technically a peephole sight. I'm not super into guns like that, but it's a closed sight, right? And so I personally like the S1100. You also unlock it earlier, which means you can upgrade them just a little bit earlier than you can the Type 100s. So that's that. But if you like the Type 100 SMG and you want to use that over the S1100, like you unlock this and you're like, I like this a little bit more, then go for it. There's no downside to doing so. This gun is just as good as this gun, and this gun is just as good as this gun, right? The big thing here, guys, you want to make sure that you upgrade them, especially after the recent economy changes. You can upgrade these so cheap. I think it costs like less than 200 or 300 silver or something like that to fully upgrade guns at this point. I just upgraded a bunch of rifles, like 15 rifles, and I think it totally cost me like less than 5,000 or something like that. So for like 15 rifles, right? So you can get a lot. But that's that. Our perks are going to be pretty standardized here. We're going to want to get, sorry, this is actually wrong. I don't know why this is set up like this, but we're going to want recoil reduction, vertical recoil reduction. We're going to want vitality. And then your mobility perks are kind of up to you. You can go with climb speed. You can go with medpack use speed. You can go with the specific medic perks if you want to, but the big thing here is you're definitely going to want vitality, and you're definitely going to want vertical recoil reduction. These guns don't kick a lot, but at the end of the day, there's not really anything else that's worth picking up, so you might as well. Now, moving on to our next squad is going to be our engineers. Our engineers, we're going to be bringing 5 engineers and then an anti-tank soldier in it once we've unlocked that. Now, the reason we're bringing the anti-tank soldier is that different than the other factions, as opposed to the other factions, I guess is what I was trying to say. As opposed to the other factions like Germany and the USA, and even the Soviets, the Japanese actually have really good anti-tank weapons at BR1, and so it's a good idea to bring an anti-tank soldier outfitted with that Type 97 anti-tank rifle. This thing has 45 pin, massive hit power, does really, really well in game, especially against, you know, things like the Stuart, if you can get to the side of it. And especially the lighter vehicles like the half-track or the M2A4, stuff like that. So definitely a good pickup to be using the Type 97 anti-tank rifle. Engineers otherwise are just going to be our mainline squad. We're going to have the Type 38 rifle. This is the best bolt-action rifle in all of Enlisted. The only thing close and is arguable is the Lee Enfield, which we don't unlock until BR2. for the allies. So Type 38 rifle hits really hard, has amazing rate of fire, has great sights, bolts fast, has low recoil, is just everything that you really want from a rifle. There's not really anything to say about it. The Type 38 is just really, 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 really good. And we're going to want that over the carbine because the carbine shoots a little bit slower while the Type 38 shoots a little bit faster and has just a little bit more damage. You can, if you want to, go for the Type I rifle. This is basically a Carcano. The Type I literally means Italian. It does have better hit power than the Arisaka Type 38, but in my opinion, this rate of fire is so low that you're really just going to want to go with the Type 38, and that's what I have here. You can see all Type 38 rifles. I recommend bringing mostly grenades. You don't need tons of explosion packs. I have a lot of explosion packs here, but that's just because I guess I do have a lot of grenades. But really just because I'm lazy and I have presets that use explosion packs. So I would probably go with grenades most of the time here, just because you're going to have this anti-tank soldier, and you're also, of course, going to be able to build anti-tank weapons. So I've kind of gone towards more using grenades, especially at lower BRs where vehicles are just less of a threat. So there you go. Type 38, Engineer Squad, bringing anti-tank soldier as opposed to the other factions that may not bring that. And then finally, we get our flex slot, our flex squad, whichever one we want to bring. I personally think bringing an anti-tank squad is going to be really useful because, like I mentioned, the Type 97 is really good. And once you have this squad fully maxed out, it's really not that different than a standard infantry squad. Yeah, you have 3 less soldiers, but you get to bring 3 anti-tank rifles, which is going to make you an absolute monster at shooting down enemy planes, as well as, of course, taking on enemy tanks. These things are actually pretty good, and it's really fun to shoot down enemy planes. I don't think I mentioned that, but yeah, you can definitely shoot down enemy planes with this thing really easily, especially in BR1 when people are flying around like biplanes and stuff. So personally, I think definitely bringing the anti-tank squad is going to be the way to go. It's going to level it up quick. You're going to be able to use them effectively, and you're going to be able to take on any vehicles that may or may not pop up. And then finally, guys, for our vehicles, I recommend bringing the Kami. Personally, I would say don't use any vehicles. Japanese tanks are really not that good. The Kami, I'll be honest, guys, I don't play low BR Japan vehicles like at all, so it's hard for me to even say what would be the best. Just looking at it stats wise, I would say going with the Kami is the best because it has 4 crew and it's got some more machine guns on it, right? It's got 3 machine guns as opposed to just the 1 on the Hago and the Kini. But they're all really similar, guys. There's no substantial difference in the armor. The Hago has a little bit more armor on the turret, but it doesn't really matter if you're just getting front pin through the front plate. And the Tase might have a little bit more as well, but these things are just not going to stop shells. That's kind of the bottom line here, is like nothing that the Japanese have here until the Ho-I actually have any amount of armor, and they're just going to get absolutely destroyed by anyone that like looks towards you is going to be absolutely destroying you. So in my opinion, stay away from vehicles. The planes are the exact same thing. You can bring this little float plane and kind of bomb people if you want to get started on your plane tree and just start kind of learning how to fly and things like that. The A6 or the A5 M4 is fine for doing that, but these are just really not good planes. And when we compare them to something, I know obviously they won't be fighting the Germans. When you compare it to something like the IAR, which is like a competitive plane at BR4, let alone BR1, or, you know, like the Americans can bring like the Hurricane or the Buffalo or something like that. Like, it's pretty hard to justify bringing something like this, which is like essentially still a float plane. It's not, this one actually isn't a float plane, but it's just like, it's not good, guys. It's not good. It's got small bombs. It's got tiny guns on it. It's just going to be a massive, massive pain in the ass to do anything effective with. So personally, I would recommend just staying away from vehicles. They're not good at this BR for the Japanese. They really don't get good until you unlock the 0 later on in BR2. So, but that's our lineup. If you want to bring a tank, go with the Kami. And then our main line is just going to be, again, the medic, the engineer, and the anti-tank squad. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. What weapons and squads do you guys like bringing to BR1 Japan? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, like and subscribe. But without anything else, guys, thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Take it easy.